Millennial pause, and the recording is started. I look very pale and sickly in these blue lights. I assure you I am not. I am well. My spirits are high. It is Memorial Day weekend, which if you're an Italian guy from New Jersey, Memorial Day weekend is like, it's up there with Christmas. It competes with Christmas for a holiday bigness. So I am fucking pumped. I am shore bound tomorrow. It is, I will say, the blue lighting right now, giving the room here at Sacktap Studios a little bit of an Arctic chill, is right on point, because this year we are kicking off summer in the low 50s. I got in bed last night. It was in the fucking 40s, and of course, because it's springtime, the heat's off. So I just got in, and eventually, under my duvet, my body temperature warmed up, but it was fucking chilly. And again, when I got up this morning, I keep a window cracked in the bathroom to, air it out. I like a nice fresh bathroom. And I went in to take my morning constitutional, and I was a mite shivery. So that's how we're starting summer this year. It was very warm a couple weeks ago, but we'll get into Memorial Day weekend in a moment. First, this is of course a pre-record. I have plans this evening, so I think I mentioned it like last week or whenever. Like, there are going to be a lot of fucking pre-records going on. That's just the way it be, because the schedule's kind of packed. At some point, I've said this before. At some point, I will probably move the show to like a Wednesday or Thursday night, so it's like a night where things aren't as crowded, but that's a little bit of a ways off. Until then, you will get the occasional pre-record and the occasional week off, which next Friday, I'm going to take off, and then we'll be back the following Friday, but I'm not positive as to whether I will be able to be live. So videos, content nonetheless. I know a lot of you just come because you want to hear yourselves bloviate in the comment section and get a shout out from your favorite YouTube host. So to all of you who are out there, all 12 of you who populate the comment section on a regular basis, let me wish you a hearty, hey there, brother man. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking in, brother man. It's podcasting. It's not radio. You can't see my ring light. Anyway, give you the socials before we get going. I do miss the comment section. That's one of my favorite things about doing the live show is chopping it up with the comment section. It's not as much fun when I'm doing the pre-record by myself. I have to entertain. I have to make myself giggle instead of y'all making me giggle. Someone got annoyed with me for using y'all, not realizing that I use it sarcastically. I don't know. Apparently people are now using y'all in daily conversation. I was completely unaware. Completely. Anyway, where were we? Socials, Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, MOYLER. If you've been DMing me on Instagram, I have not looked. I very rarely go on Instagram. So if you've been DMing me or trying to get in touch with me, that is not the best place. YouTube at Mike's Golden Streams. And of course, you could just tell people to look for Sacktap Live on the YouTube search bar. Should take you right here. And with no further ado, we'll get into it. And again, as I said at the top of the show, it is indeed the kickoff to summer extravaganza here at Sacktap Live, which really just, it doesn't mean a whole lot. It just means I will talk briefly about Memorial Day weekend at the Jersey Shore before getting into the rest of the shit that we have here. So I don't know. Maybe it's not that much of an extravaganza. Maybe that is false advertising. I certainly wouldn't call it fraud. But yeah, I look forward to. There is such a last day of school energy going into Memorial Day weekend, and I've had Memorial Day weekends where I had to work at least 2 of the days. Like, I've being coming out of the news industry and being in the military and everything like that. Sometimes you work through a weekend, and that has happened on Memorial Day weekend many, many times. I'll be working tomorrow, teaching some classes in the morning before getting on my way down the shore. But even then, even when I have to, I have things that I have to do on Memorial Day weekend, there's still, and I don't know if the rest of the country treats Memorial Day weekend as the unofficial start to summer. I know when I remember being in the Marine Corps and people not, like, it was, obviously it takes on a different meaning when you're on active duty because everyone has friends that they've lost. But I remember it not being like, I don't know if it's a specifically regional thing to the Northeast, but I know at least from Cape Cod down through New Jersey, Memorial Day weekend is a very big deal in terms of getting the shore area summer economies in each of those states going. So we get fucking hype for it around here. It's when everyone starts occupying their shore houses, which for me for many years meant doing a summer rental in the towns of either Manasquan or Belmar, which I always say this. I say this whenever I talk about the shore. If you are visiting the New York City area in the summer, and you're from outside, you haven't been here before, do yourself a favor and book a weekend. If you want to have a good time, if you have a family and shit, find a family locale. There are plenty of places with, boardwalks and amusement parks, not hard to find. But book yourself a place near either Point Pleasant, Manasquan, Belmar, or Asbury. If you're single, or if you're a couple with no kids and you're looking to go out and have a good time, I would say if you're planning a bachelor party, not a bad idea to Airbnb a place in Belmar or Manasquan, New Jersey, and fucking just rage out like you're doing a summer rental for a few days, because those towns, my friends, crawling with pussy. There's just no other way to say it. Like, they're in the off season, they're like these quiet little beach towns where, you go for a run on the boardwalk, you take your dog on the beach, all that shit. When the summer comes, the population skyrockets because everyone's moving into, you move into your summer rental. You get like a dozen people. If you're smart, you do a male-female split. Do the split, because one, chicks in your house are going to be down for a good time. Like if it's a chick who's doing a summer rental with fucking dudes, because but what you do is you get the place with some friends. You're going to need some spaces to fill. You go on Craigslist, social media, wherever, you post the ad, and you do like job interviews for your roommates, right? Because everyone lives in Hoboken or Jersey City or wherever. So you meet at a bar. You're like, hey, how many summers you've been doing? You feel them out. You want to make sure you're not getting any complete. You're going to get some weirdos, but at least you want to make sure they're within a range of normal. When you're dealing with party people, there are always going to be, there are going to be weirdos, because everyone's doing fucking everyone's doing drugs and trying to get laid. That leads to very odd, creepy behavior. But yeah, you do it. You load up the house. Around a dozen. You want to go because you want enough people that there's always sort of a party going on, and then you also want enough people that they're bringing in a good flux of people outside the house. So like, there's a very you need a solid tribe because there's strength in numbers at the shore. So if it goes down when you're out, because with the amount of, again, this is just people who are trying to get fucked up and get laid, and everyone is sort of, there's a lot of main character syndrome. Everyone's the star of their own movie. So the potential for fights and stuff is always strong. So you do need, you need some big fucking goon who can just, bear hug somebody and toss them away from a pile, or like you need some fucking a crazed Latina chick who will come in swinging her fucking pocketbook if it goes down. Like you need a good squad with you. It's like, I don't watch superhero movies, but I would imagine the Avengers, or some shit like that. But the other thing is the more chicks you have in the house, they travel in packs at that age. When chicks are in their 20s, they travel in packs with like 8. There's just it'll just be a fucking mob of them. All of them wearing the exact same clothing, having their hair done in the exact same way, and all sort of secretly hating each other. But those little cliques don't start falling apart until they hit like 30 or so. In their 20s, they're all still pretending to be friends and pretending to like each other. By 30, it's narrowed down to like 2 or 3, and like they're just shit talking the other 5. But they travel in these packs. So if you have 5 chicks in your house, they're gonna each one of them is going to bring, through the course of the summer, is going to bring around at least 4 or 5 external chicks. So you sort of start doing the math there, and it's like, well, not only do we have the chicks in the house who are all, they're all getting loose and having a good time. Who knows what's going to happen? But they're also bringing friends from outside. So through the course of the summer, you're gaining social access to a couple dozen just fucking fun party chicks who are looking to put a little something up a nostril, do whatever, and then who knows? There was a very, very, very creepy gentleman I remember coming across down in Belmar, who on a slow night was just going through his phone, tapping a bag of blow against the thing where you speak, and telling. I forget what his fucking line was. It was a line that really made me giggle. But basically telling them that he had cocaine for them if they would meet up with him and blow them. And needless to say, this guy did not do very well with the ladies, but I think he did go through a lot of cocaine attempting to do well with the ladies. But that's what the Jersey Shore summer is. It's creepy ass dudes trying mostly unsuccessfully to get laid. Like you watch, like, and this is not to say like that you can't get laid. You absolutely can. There are like a few different tiers of being a dude at the Jersey Shore. There's sort of like the bottom tier are like these guys who come completely unprepared to be at the shore. Like they don't bring like beach apparel Like they don't like they nothing about them seems like they should be there. They're a friend of a friend. They got dragged along for this. Maybe they brought a pillow, but more than likely, you're going to see this guy on a fucking Sunday morning. You're going to wake up to go to the bathroom, and this is the guy who's like he's sleeping on like the floor or on a fucking chair with his head on like a single couch cushion. He didn't have a good time. He spends the entire like 36 hours or so that he's there in the same attire. Hair's usually a little bit greasy, and it usually seems like kind of a nice enough guy, but just absolute fish out of water. This guy, hopeless. He is going to have a horrible time. You go up the next rung, and it's usually like the guy that brought that guy is a little just kind of inept there, wants to have fun. He's going for it. He's trying to get like numbers and shit, but it's swing in the Miss City. It's not going to happen. Get the fuck out of here. Then you have sort of what I would say makes up, the bottom of the middle chunk is there's an interesting space here, right? We have this middle chunk now where you have what I would say the bulk of guys at the shore who are, they're just there to get fucking blackout drunk and have a good time. And if, should they hook up? Great, you hook up. They're just sort of happy that there are chicks everywhere. We're going to have some fun. Not a bad place to be. I will say a lot of these guys, though, well, I don't know if it's these guys. There's a lot of erectile dysfunction that goes on at the shore because of all of the partying and pinpointing where it exists. I think it's a thing that it can kind of just hit anybody, but you definitely hear about a lot of ED, but I don't want to pin the erectile dysfunction just on those guys. Well, they are prone to it because of how much they're drinking. But you do have to understand that if you're fooling around at the shore, you're doing so under a lot of intoxication and with a lot of people present. They're not like relaxing circumstances. It's very, unless you have a regular chick that you're like fucking down there, you generally don't get to fool around under relaxing circumstances because it's always attached to some kind of very aggressive partying. So that among other things tends to knock the wind out of your sails a little bit. Either that or you can't finish. That's happened to me before. That's a tough one. Because you just can't get your brain on the good feels. But because there's too many people walking around in the halls, it happens. But a lot of those guys, nothing wrong with being one of those guys. But then sort of amidst those guys are the creep guys, the guys who are tapping the bag of Coke against the phone speaker, trying to get chicks to come over. And they're doing very like, things that were acceptable in college in like the 1990s that we didn't know existed in a legally murky area, I guess is the best way to describe them. And they're like kind of proud of it. And it may succeed once in a while, but they just like there are very predatory dudes at the shore. And it's interesting now because it's like, you met them, you socialized with them, you knew they were fucking creeps back then. And everyone knew, even the chick fucking, you go out to get bagels with the chicks in your house on a Sunday morning or something like that. Or I was always privy to a lot of conversation because my sister's friends were down there. So like I would, you kind of hang around them and hear the talk over iced coffees on the beach. Or I worked a weird schedule a lot of summers, so I had a lot of weekdays off. So a lot of what you run into a lot down there are chicks in their 20s who are teachers, and they're always on the beach on like a fucking Wednesday or whatever. So if you're off and one of your housemates, if the teacher, you hit the beach with them, and they'll just fucking they can't not talk. Like, you just sit there, you don't say a word, and you pull a little bit, and they just spill the fucking tea on everybody. There is chamomile and Irish breakfast all over the sand because they can't stop spilling the fucking tea. And you hear these things. You hear about whose dick didn't work. You hear about who's fucking really, really creepy. You hear about, who's hooking up with who on the DL that nobody knows about. But this person is interested in this person, but that person doesn't know that they're actually secretly banging this person. Like, there's a lot of social intrigue that goes on over the course of a summer at the Jersey Shore, which it adds to the fun and excitement. As long as you don't get yourself emotionally wrapped up in it, and it's just a sideshow for you, it can be a lot of fun. And then you have the guys who kind of figured out how it really works, and the best way to get laid down there, again, like I said, have the house with a bunch of chicks, meet all of their friends, and just be, if you're just cool, if you don't try too aggressively, the aggression, the creep factor, all of that stuff, it gets sussed out in a fucking heartbeat. If you're just cool, be cool, relax, hang out, and let it kind of come to you. Cajole it a little bit, it never hurts to be. One of my big moves was to be like the guy in the house who was always kind of like cooking, making breakfast and shit like that for everybody, and just kind of without saying a word about it. If you're like big on like cleaning stuff up, because there will be guys who think, oh, you know what? If they'll think just that, if I do X, Y, and Z, and everyone's, you kind of make yourself like the big man. But the problem is, they make it clear that it's like validation seeking behavior, because they'll self promote. Can't do that. This is all about subtlety. So, make a few breakfasts, fucking be seen taking out the garbage, shit like that. Have a supply of stuff like fucking Advil or whatever, like electrolytes, protein powder, and just kind of be magnanimous and generous with it. Basically act like a really chill tribal elder. And the pussy will come a flocking. But get down there. If you've never been, do it. If you're single, or if there's a bachelor party or something like that, book a place. You find some real nice places. Get there on. I would suggest taking extra days, and so you can really enjoy it. Get there on a Wednesday. Check out on a Monday, so you allow yourself to stay through Sunday. Get Sunday afternoon. Fucking Sunday afternoon at the Jersey Shore is a hidden gem, because a lot of people try to get back up to beat the traffic and settle back in. Oh, if you can stay for a nice Sunday at the shore, it's worth being a little groggy on Monday. But get there Wednesday and kind of explore the restaurant scene. You can eat very well. I know the Jersey Shore has gotten this reputation as like this fucking and obviously the Guido scene will always be alive and well at the shore, but we're an essential part of the ecosystem. I don't know that people understand that. And without the Guidos, there is no shore. So love the Guidos, but people get this idea that the Jersey it's like full of hypodermic needles and stuff like that. And really, other than maybe Atlantic City, it just truly not the case. You pay to get on the beach at the Jersey Shore for a reason. Our beaches are fucking pristine. And we do not like a dirty beach in New Jersey. I've been to the fucking beach everywhere else on the fucking planet. The cleanest beaches I have ever seen are on military bases because good order and discipline is enforced. In Okinawa, Japan, because those people are anal about that kind of thing, and New Jersey. So if do it, get in on a Wednesday, hit the beach, hit some restaurants. The party starts on Thursday, and you go to DJs. DJs in Belmar does a theme party. Chicks show up, fucking tits hanging out, in costume of some kind, whatever the theme is. It'll be bumping, but it won't be too packed. You'll have a lot of teachers, and teachers like to have a good time on summer vacation. They go out fucking loaded for bear, like they're on fucking Rumspringa, because they're free for a couple of months. They've been dealing with a bunch of annoying little shits for the last 9, and they're ready to go out and just fucking rage. So do that, get down. Friday is when the fucking storm really starts to roll in, because everyone fucking sneaks out of work early. They hop on NJ Transit or they drive down the Parkway, and they're just ready to get it fucking cranking. More and more people at the clubs. Again, I would suggest going to DJs for the happy hour buffet. They do a great sausage and peppers right in the fucking back. You go in, you buy one drink, you get a free ticket for the buffet. You go in, you load up. Incredible. And then Saturday and Sunday, you hit the beach, you roast a little bit. Some great gyms down there if you're a meathead. You go to Jersey Shore Fitness Shop in Bradley Beach, get a pump on, and then hit the boardwalk, and just luxuriate for a couple days. Bring a couple some nice button-down linen striped resort shirts. Have a good time and enjoy the many a lot of very fit female bodies walking around there. So if you can't get nice with a lady at the Jersey Shore after a couple beverages, it is your own fault, partner. So do that. And I always say, because everyone in post 9/11 veteran culture, especially I recognize it on social media really in like maybe the 4 or 5 years right after I got off active duty. And hey, you get it. It makes sense because we had just, we were the fucking off, 2-theater fucking clusterfuck in the Middle East, which, let's be honest, the servicemen and women were fucking taking it to the motherfuckers, whipping ass. It's not our fault that the fat cats in DC can't find a fucking political solution to any of that. But there was a lot of this anger and frustration, I think, on the part of a lot of veterans who they would see people getting excited about having fun over Memorial Day, and they'd be like, "Hey, that's not what it's about. Like, it's about, there's the Memorial Day." Let me see if I can pull it up. I should have grabbed this before. Pull it up. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is just a moment. Oh no, that's incredibly small. I gotta. As you may know, I'm not great at sharing things on the. Where is it? Fuck. I don't know. Anyway, it's this guy, and he's standing over a grill, and he says, "Hot dogs, bratwurst, hamburgers. Is there anything I forgot? And in the smoke billowing above the grill, it's the faces of all of the fallen. And there's that, and then there's this, there's ones with this graveyard. It's any plans for Memorial Day weekend, and it's all the graves of the fallen at Arlington, which is all well and good, but knowing guys who serve, and what they're like, I have to think that everyone who was killed in combat or after, because we do lose people after as well, that I feel like they would want you to enjoy the freedom, right? It's a 3-day, it is a 3-day weekend. And obviously you pause for it, and there are parades and flag ceremonies and all of that. And if you're in the vicinity of one, I would certainly encourage you to attend and shake hands with some of the older VFW members, because obviously our veterans of some of the older wars are passing on. And it's certainly good to recognize them and make them feel good, because a lot of them, if you fought in Vietnam or something like that, you lost a lot more friends than someone who fought in Iraq or Afghanistan. And that's not to minimize the service of my generation of warriors, because I think there is something very special about being a millennial war veteran as well, because I feel like we're an even smaller percentage of the population, because there was no draft; it was all volunteer, and a sort of a different mindset because that was the case. I never think Memorial Day weekend should be fuck you civilians weekend, which for a while that was sort of the feeling on like veteran social media platforms. So please, if you are a veteran, and you get into your cups a little bit this weekend, and you're thinking about people you've lost. I've lost people I was close to. My corpsman from Iraq, who's a great mentor to me, Doc Perg. He years after we got home from our deployment, he took his own life. It was fucking horrible. He was, beloved by so many people. But after so many deployments, things start coming back with you. There are a lot of people who aren't here anymore. And whether you agree with the political circumstances behind the deployment or whatever, the fact of the matter is they lost their lives in service of your elected officials. And in that sense, no matter what the political cause behind the war was, they did die for you. So you should absolutely stop to honor them. They're, two Marines who I never met. My family owes the world to, died saving my cousin and his entire platoon from a suicide truck bomber. This was in Iraq a year before I got there. My cousin was also a Marine, was on his first deployment. They had just gotten to Nasser, Iraqi police station, and they were, they were doing it's called a left seat, right seat, where you work with the unit that's there. You spend a couple weeks basically trading roles, and doing a relief in place. And then they go home and you take over and it becomes your space. And while this was going on, my cousin was on post on the top of a building, and this fucking truck loaded with it was at least 2,000 pounds of explosives comes barreling through the checkpoint, and the two Marines at the checkpoint just stayed there and unloaded on the driver, and the truck came to a stop short of the building that all the Marines were in, as Marines and Iraqi police officers. Like 100, these two guys died and saved like 100 people. Lance Corporal Harder and Corporal Yale from 1-9 and 2-9 respectively are two Marines who I always think of. This time it happened in April, so this time of year I always think about those two, and of course Doc Perg and got other guys. The guy in my TBS class, Ryan Iannelli, was a pilot in Afghanistan. I didn't know him incredibly well. We were on the rifle range near each other when we qualified. I remember we were like a couple pits down from each other when we were pulling pits. But that kind of thing where like you go through a school and you go through training with someone and they're such a human to you, to hear that, just one day, like there's a fucking helicopter crash in Afghanistan and you see the names and you're like, oh, holy shit. So yeah, certainly take a minute to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice, which, I feel cliche even saying it, but it is what they did. And then enjoy that freedom. Do them the ultimate honor, right? I've always said, and this is why I'm such a proponent of Memorial Day weekend at the shore, to the 19-year-old machine gunner who was killed in Anbar province, if you told him that the way you were using your freedom was to get drunk with your friends and chase pussy at the shore, they would probably think that's pretty awesome. They would want you to do that. So do that. Go out and do that, because it is Memorial Day weekend, which this time of year also the beginning of wedding season. And if you are a TV watcher, you may have seen this commercial. You'll excuse me a second while I get my earbuds. Got to be able to hear it. And I guess I should share it too, so y'all can hear it and see it. Uno momento, por favor. Just want to make sure. The volume isn't too loud here. Okay. So they're at a summer wedding. It appears in the mountains. The sun is beating down. The lawn appears relatively unmowed. So not unmowed. It looks like they should have mowed before they put the chairs and everything down. It's not obnoxiously long, but it's not. You wouldn't be proud of it if it was your manicure job on the lawn. And it's clearly very hot out. That is what they're trying to get across, the people sweating and fanning themselves. And of course, there's probably, because of all the longer grass and all the trees around, it's holding a lot of, the humidity is probably up there too. So this is a poorly planned wedding to begin with. And we've got a little, I think this is Michelle Branch playing while the groomsmen come out. The groom, this is a Gen Z groom. You can see by his hairstyle. He's got a little broccoli going. But a little grown up Gen Z, because it's not taper faded from the bottom. It's grown out a little bit. This is Gen Z with a job. Older Gen Z. He's getting married, right? We'll call it. He's probably what is he like? What do we think? Like 25, maybe. So one of the first of your friends to get married, and in the heat, in the distance, as if staring at an oasis in the desert, he sees the groomsmen approach.
Making my way downtown, walking fast.
And what's this? They've got baskets of ice cold Coors Light at this very diverse wedding in a pastoral mountain scene, which, we could dissect that as well, but let's focus on some other things. What irritates me off the jump, and we'll watch these guys going through. We'll watch them going through so you can see what I'm talking about here.
Faces pass and I'm homebound.
And before I get into the point I was about to make, there is always this element. This is what I shouldn't say this element with this ethnic spread here. That's not what I'm talking about. But if you go to a lot of weddings, there is always this element. Like, you see how all the people in the crowd are kind of looking like, oh, these guys are wacky, wild, and crazy. There is always that uncle at every wedding you go to who you see him the night before, because there's always everyone kind of convenes for drinks after the rehearsal dinner, because the wedding party has the rehearsal dinner, and then they'll usually announce that, wherever, at whatever nearby bar or at the hotel bar or something like that, everyone who got to town the night before the wedding is going to convene and do some drinks, and it's going to be fun, catch up with people you haven't seen in forever before the rush of the wedding day, right? I love getting to town the day before the wedding. Always better. But there's always that uncle who's making sort of a spectacle of himself at the thing, and he wants to chop it up with the young crowd at the wedding, and all he can do is talk about what a wild man he was back in the day and share stories and whatnot. And then by extension, every time he sees you, like the youngish people at the wedding, the people who are in their, the early 20s through early 30s, the sort of post-grad crowd, he is reciting. If you see him the day of the wedding or at the breakfast on the day after the wedding, he just constantly wants to recite to you all of the wild and crazy things he saw you doing throughout the week. Guys, he's a wild one. And I can't fucking stand those guys. I avoid them like the fucking plague at these events. And that guy is somewhere in the crowd here. And that guy he's so beloved amongst the general population, and they gas him up so much that it's like, and I'm not talking about a drunk party uncle necessarily. I'm talking about a guy who wants to, he just makes too much of everything. There will be drunk party, fucking older people getting loose at weddings is no surprise. That's like what they do. But the one who tries to drop down and transcend generations and fucking loves talking about who was the wildest one and how wild he used to get. Those guys are like the guy I was talking about a couple weeks ago at Easter, who was talking about eating hooker ass. Like, guys like that, except their stories aren't about eating hooker ass. Their stories are about drinking too many pitchers of beer and fucking throwing up in some bushes somewhere. It's like, that's the extent of the actual wildness. They don't have any stole a taxi cab in Tijuana stories. Their stories are all It's the fact that the shit that they're getting excited about is so lame. If you meet an old timer at a wedding who who used to drive around doing fucking mescaline and fucking cruising the AC expressway in an IROC, then sit down and listen to some stories. But fucking someone's fucking old beer-bellied Uncle Bob who fucking he's got a couple tales about how hungover his brother-in-law used to get. It's some bullshit. It's like, all right, calm down. Go fucking get this guy a piece of cake and get him out of here. So there are definitely a few of those guys in the crowd. But what I hate, and we'll take it back to here. First of all, Michelle Branch wouldn't be playing at a wedding featuring this. I got to do it featuring this trio, unless there is a very, 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 very disappointed father-in-law somewhere. Jokes. It's all jokes, folks. Harmony. But you see how energized and sprightly they are?
And I miss you.
Like everyone's like, haha, we're all loose and having a good time. No one under these circumstances would feel this fresh. If you're wearing wedding attire on a hot fucking day, and especially bow ties, so you're all the way buttoned up on a hot day while the sun is just beating down. And remember, if you're in the wedding party, you probably got there, mid-afternoon the day before, or maybe even the day before that, because a lot of times what'll happen is the wedding party and everyone they'll kind of be staying in the same place. Like, they'll rent out like a series of cottages, or their rooms will all be next to each other on the same hotel floor. And you'll get in the day before the rehearsal dinner, and just kind of everyone will be like, do you do a little bit of your own thing? Maybe you get together for drinks, whatever, you kind of ease into the weekend, because your wedding just goes by so fast. But you're on possibly day 3 now of drinking under very hot, sunny circumstances. No one is moving with that kind of energy. Not until that kind of energy at a wedding doesn't come until after the bus ride over to the venue, when you can finally break away, crack open a fucking bag, put a little sugar up your schnoz, and really get back at it. Not me, but I don't do such things, but people who are in wedding parties certainly do. But that kind of hey, we're all having fun energy does not, I'm telling you, exist at. I'm going to call this is July. This is late July. It's 4:00 in the afternoon. They're at elevation because they're in the mountains, and the sun is just fucking beating down on them. And they're not even escaping the humidity up there because it's the fucking it's late summer. Everywhere is fucking humid. They're all in full suits. They've been drinking for a few days. With that drinking has come some very decadent eating. So no one has taken. One of the worst things I think about being in a wedding party, I've never really, you never really take a good shit the day of, because you've been eating like treat food for a few days and drinking. So everything is it's not moving well. So there's a lot of farting, or like kind of, you were able to get out a half log before you got dressed, but you're moving around with a little something sitting in your lower intestine. Like, it's not, oftentimes it can be a very unpleasant experience. And on so hot a day, it would be particularly miserable. So unless these guys drank a considerable amount of Metamucil upon waking in the morning and just fucking whooshed everything out. There's no way you're moving around like that under these circumstances. If you are a groomsman on a day like this, you are you're holding it together as best as possible. You're trudging down the aisle, sort of just fucking, stiff upper lip, trying to maintain. And then you're going to get up there. You're going to stand in your position with your palms together, and you are just going to wait it out. You're going to stand there listening to the music. You're probably going to have to piss because you've been drinking fucking Bud Lights all day. Bud Lights and Gatorade all day. You had sandwiches. I remember my sister's wedding. You do the thing where you hang in the suite with the groom and the father, the bride. We're all the brothers and stuff are in there. We're hanging drinks, and we had a platter of sandwiches. And I ate so many fucking sandwiches that during the reception, I had to take a shit that I could never take, because every time I would go somewhere to try and take this shit, they'd be like, "Oh, we need the wedding party. Everybody in the wedding party. We need you. Hey, we got pictures, speeches, this, that." So I didn't get to fully enjoy the food spread at my sister's wedding because I ate like a fucking animal during the day, and then they had raw bar and peel and eat shrimp during the cocktail hour. Which, if you have raw bar during your cocktail hour, I'm not leaving that location. If you are having a wedding, have fucking raw bar at the cocktail hour. New Jersey weddings, and I have found this is very, very particular to New Jersey. New Jersey weddings, you eat the best. Weddings elsewhere, you do not eat very well. I don't know what it is. You people don't know how to put out a fucking spread. There'll be like someone walking down with a little can of peas during fucking cocktail hour, and that's it. Cocktail hour needs to be like a feast of medieval proportions. I'm laying down. I give stacks of cash for weddings. Always. You'd throw a few hundo at them, because I'm going to fucking eat and drink you into fucking bankruptcy. It's the least I can do. But you got to have the raw bar. My one buddy, in addition to the raw bar, had fucking crabs the size of your fucking head, and just claw crackers out, and you could just take a full crab and just bust it open. So we had the entire, our entire football recruiting class from college just sitting around a fucking table annihilating shellfish. It was awesome. It was enough to make anyone go into anaphylactic shock. But you got to do that. But yeah, I remember having to shit the entire time at my sister's wedding, and then they fucking going out the door. They had stacks of Taylor ham, egg and cheese bagels, and you just grab whatever. It was something like that. I think it was like that, and maybe did they have empanadas, or was that a different wedding I went to? Anyway, you do that, but also very common in New Jersey. If you don't, you either get a parting snack, or when you get to the after party, there will be stacks of pizzas. But I remember taking 2 of those, running up to my hotel room to finally take my shit, and then changing into comfy clothes to go down to the after party and finally enjoying those sandwiches. But the point is, no one is moving around like these guys, all fucking spinny and athletic and shit, during the wedding ceremony on a hot day like this. This is not a realistic commercial. This is pure fucking fantasy. I hate everything about it. I hate the people that fucking wrote it. I cringe now when I hear this fucking song. I hope it ends in divorce. I hope they get. Not even divorce. I hope they get to the reception, the wedding reception, and the groom has the DJ throw on the screen a video of the bride getting railed by both of the groomsmen who just walked him down the aisle with the Coors Lights, and they call the whole thing off. That's what I hope happens to this couple. because of that. Anyway. Wedding season, baby. Love it. Where are we at in time? 54. Okay. All righty. Then I have a class to go teach in a few minutes here. So glad to we're under on time. Very, very good. Okay. So off. I'm so thrown off with no comment section to banter with. Off next week. Back the week after, but probably a pre-record. And then, we'll just be touch and go from there. I do look forward to being back live with you guys. Have a great start to summer. Remember, do take a minute, even if you're at the liquor store or whatever, and the guys are selling the poppies. Just fucking drop a couple bucks in the thing, chat them up. They're great. They're fucking national treasures. They've seen shit in the jungles that, you've only seen in fucking movies. So, shake their hands, give them a couple bucks, take a poppy and put it in your car, your rear view mirror. Social media, Twitter at Mike Montone, Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler. And of course the audio podcast, the Savage Sacktap, wherever you download podcasts. And what's the other thing that I say here? Oh, yeah. That's right. YouTube, Sacktap Live, or at Mike's Golden Streams. Please share it. Tell your friends. Come on down. Have a good time. Have a great weekend. And adios, motherfuckers.